Hey, what's up guys? It's me, Anthony, here to give you guys another review, and this is going to be the first TV series review on my channel. I know it's crazy, but I have to talk about this because there's a lot of stuff to say. So let's get into season 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. So I'm not going to go into an in-depth analysis or detailed synopsis of the series because you kind of can tell what this show is going to be about. It's about Boba Fett. He's back. He's out of the Sarlacc pit, and now he's roaming Tatooine, trying to get his bearings back, trying to get his status back. And when they announced that this series was coming up, I was excited. You know, I wasn't really that hyped because I know there's a lot of Boba Fett fans out there, and I never understood that because in the original films, he was barely in them and he only had like a little tiny bit of scenes. But I know there's a lot of material like the books and the comics and the cartoons, and there's a lot of lore with Boba Fett other than the main movies. And before I get into this review, I am a Star Wars fan, but I am not a crazy Star Wars fan. Or I shouldn't say crazy, but I'm not that well versed in the Star Wars lore. You know, I don't read the books, I don't listen to the podcast, I don't watch the cartoons, I don't analyze videos and all that stuff. I'm just a normal, casual Star Wars fan, like most people in the world. So don't destroy me too much in the comments if I don't say a word right or I don't get a reference that they probably put in this show. I'm just a normal person, all right? So let's get into the Book of Boba Fett, where it went wrong, where it went good, and how overall I thought about it. And before I go any further, I just want to let you guys know there is going to be spoilers in this review because I feel like if you're going to talk about the entire series of Boba Fett, you need to talk about a couple episodes in particular, and those episodes are spoiler filled. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, you know, save this video and come back later after you finish the series because we're going to talk about that. But as far as the good stuff, I think, again, this is just another showing that, you know, they can do Star Wars TV series. I know for a long time, at least when I was growing up, the idea of a Star Wars TV show, like an episodic TV show, was like so far away in people's minds that they didn't think it was going to work. They thought it was going to cost too much money. I mean, they still cost a lot of money to make. But now we have 2 Star Wars shows and a whole bunch in the making, and I think just the set design and the love and care that these people, you know, Jon Favreau and like everybody else surrounding them is putting into these Star Wars shows, you can totally tell. It feels like Star Wars. Now, I don't want to get too much into like how I feel about the recent Star Wars films, but I didn't feel like they were as Star Wars as they could have been. And like I said, this feels like Star Wars. Everything looks like it's beat down. There's like, you know, people have armor that is worn and seen like better days before. And it helps that we're on Tatooine because Tatooine's like the definition of like a beat down, worn down Star Wars universe. And I like the character of Boba Fett. I do wish that we got a little bit more of Boba Fett being Boba Fett, but this, you could see this is just a transition Boba Fett. He just got out of the Sarlacc pit, you know, he got acid burns all over him. We also have Ming-Na Wen in here playing Fennec, and wow, you know, she got underutilized in this show, but she's a really good standout. I still wish that we got that older Mulan live action with her in it. I mean, it would have worked perfectly. And we got a whole cast of other characters that are really interesting and really cool. They didn't get that much character development, but we'll talk about that later. But I think my favorite aspect about this show, and also my least favorite aspect about this show, is the introduction or reintroduction of the Mandalorian and Grogu. Comes out of nowhere. I didn't think this was going to happen. I mean, well, they put a little seed in like episode like 4, where it was like, hey, we need some help. We're gonna get somebody that you may know. Hey, he could probably save the series. Hey. But it's really surprising to me and kind of shocking that they would kind of essentially show us season 3 of Mandalorian in this show about Boba Fett. I get it that Boba Fett was first seen or first reintroduced in The Mandalorian season 2. Episode 5 is by far the best episode of the series, but I also think it's the worst episode of the series because it's called The Book of Boba Fett. And then episode 5 and 6 and kind of 7 is pretty much just Mandalorian season 3. And no shade to Mandalorian because I love the Mandalorian series, but it's just kind of like, I'm more upset and confused with the writers and the direction of the show. It literally felt like mid-season, they were like, we need help because nobody's liking this show. Throw season 3 Mandalorian in here. And now, if you haven't figured out already, we're going into the negative stuff about the show because the positive stuff bleeds into the negative. But I want to get into like the nitty-gritty of the stuff that I didn't really like about the Boba Fett show. And that is like the first couple of episodes. I thought they were actually good. I liked those episodes, but as you were going deeper into the show and they were showing this flashback between him in the past and him in the future, it kind of felt like they were fighting each other. Both the stories were fighting each other. And to me, it just felt like you needed to have 2 seasons of Boba Fett. One season where he just gets out of the Sarlacc pit and he's pretty much coming back to where he needs to, trying to find his armor again, staying with the Sand People. That's season 1. And then you bleed into season 2, which is in the present, when he's trying to fight the little cockroach guys and, gathering his army and becoming like the savior, quote unquote, of Tatooine. That felt like season 2 of Boba Fett. But instead, we had them both competing for screen time and just butting heads the entire time. To me, it's kind of a shame because there's interesting aspects in the past and the flashbacks and in the future stuff. But I just wish that they just focused on them, on one thing more. Another problem that I have with this show is the characters that they introduce in this show. They have little to no backstory whatsoever. I mean, the Secretary of Tatooine, the Secretary of the Mayor of Tatooine, has more character development than most of the cool characters or the interesting characters in the show. You have like the coolest looking Wookiee that we've ever seen in the Star Wars universe, and we literally get no backstory whatsoever about him other than that he used to work for like the Jabba cousins. And that's it. But I think the worst offense with this is this street gang that Boba Fett recruits that look like they belong in Coruscant. They don't belong in Tatooine. They don't look like they belong in Star Wars at all. It was just weird for me because, you have 2 characters in particular that get more spotlight than the other 2 characters in the gang. And then the characters that they want you to focus on are not appealing at all. I don't have any connection with them. The leader of the gang, Darsh, I think her name is. Who is she? I don't know anything about her. I don't care about her. They try to put some spotlight on her. I don't care. Her second in command, I'm guessing, the guy with the robotic eye, he does a flip that people are mad about on Twitter. A spin, I guess, and he shoots something and people don't like that. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel about these characters. And again, I know that I may be missing something here or not understanding like the Easter eggs or the plot points that are hidden in this show because they were mentioned in a cartoon show or a book or a comic book or a podcast. And that's one of my problems too with this show is it just didn't feel accessible for casual Star Wars fans or new Star Wars fans that are just had like a kind of interest in Star Wars and they're like, oh, I know Boba Fett, and then they want to watch the show. But then there's so much lore for the fans, which I get and I appreciate. It just felt like it was going over my head. And you could say, that could be my fault, and it probably is, but I just feel like if you're going to start a whole series about a character that we haven't seen in a long, long time, then you might not want to throw so much meta stuff at us. I'm just saying. And now let's get back to the Mandalorian stuff because I don't know why they did this. I don't know why they put this in here. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing Mando and Grogu back together. The Luke stuff. I don't know really what to think about that. But the problem I have with it is it just felt like a setup for other series that they have coming down for Disney Plus. When they have Grogu and Luke talking and, Luke's trying to teach Grogu about the Force and all that stuff and say, like, you could be my first apprentice. There's no, like, stakes or like, ramifications to what is being said and done because we kind of already know the outcome. We've seen The Last Jedi. So it just felt kind of weird. And it was obviously just a setup for the Ahsoka series and maybe the Obi-Wan series. And that's a shame. I just wanted more Boba Fett. Those episodes, they could have just done more character development for certain characters, like I was mentioning, the Powerpuff Girl Street Gang and the Wookiee. They could have done more stories with them, but instead we went with the Mandalorian, which again, I like those parts. I love that stuff. but I just felt like it took away from the Boba Fett experience. Overall, guys, I think that the Book of Boba Fett isn't bad as people saying. I know people are like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. It's not that bad. It's entertaining. There's entertaining episodes. Not every episode hits, which is pretty much the norm with anything that you watch. But I just wish that they just stuck to their guns and went full force Boba Fett. But guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did you like the series? Did you hate the series? Are you with everybody that's on Twitter saying that Robert Rodriguez should never touch Star Wars again? I don't agree with it, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, guys, don't forget to check out my Twitter so you can stay up to date with my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, guys, keep watching movies.